Hey there, it's Jamie, and I'm so glad to be here with you today and to be bringing you this featured episode that I promised about how to read a dream board like a tarot card. I'm so excited to share that with you. But first, I thought I would do a little behind the scenes. And it's just been a lot stirring, and I wanted to share it because sometimes we share when things are easy and when there's a lot to celebrate, and we don't always share when things are a bit of a slog. And I want you to know that if you, like me, are making some big changes, if you're trying to get moving on some big dreams, that it can be slow, that it can be challenging, and that it's important to remember that each little step counts. My tarot cards told me that this morning. I was feeling kind of dark and a little blue about things. And then I pulled the card and it was the Three of Pentacles. And it was like, just do the work, Jamie. Just do the work and honor each step of the work as you go. One of the things that I've been working on, one of the things I'm trying to do is to rouse my energy, to stir myself up with spring after quite a long period of being a little internal, right? A little closed off, in part because of the pandemic. And I know a lot of people have gone back to very regular life. And I'm just starting to do that now because, as some of you know, my dad recently passed away. And for the past year and a bit, he was sick with cancer. And so I stayed very isolated because I wanted to be able to see him at any given time, and his immunity was compromised. And so we kept, myself, my family, Justin, we kept very internal. And now that's changed. If you get the newsletter, then I recently shared a little tribute to my dad. And, I'm still grieving. So that's another reason why my energy is sort of needing some uplifting, is to come out of grief and to move into a brand new period of my life and a new period of my work. I've got something new coming for you for the fall, but it'll be launched in early August. And it's too soon to talk about it. It's not the book. I'm working on that too, but it's sort of a new container. And when things are new, not only are they sometimes slow, but sometimes you also try new things and you take risks, and some pan out and some don't. And I just wanted to share that recently I had said yes to something that had felt really good, had felt really exciting. And I can't reveal the details just out of respect for the collaborator. It was a company, not a person. And as we started working on it, I just started to see more and more how this particular, nothing about the company's approach, but about us working together, was just not something that felt right for the studio or for where I'm headed. And I was stuck between showing up for a commitment, because I like to do that. I think of myself as a trustworthy person, as a loyal person, as a person of her word. And so I had made a commitment, and so I was going to see it through. But then also, as you move towards something, it becomes more and more in view. And so let's say, for example, you accepted a job, or let's say you went out on a date, or let's say you started a project. And as you started working on it, more and more you realized, you know what, this isn't a good fit. I really thought it was. I entered this with the best intentions. But the closer we become, the more involved we become, the more I see it's not right for some reason. Now, all new things take a grace period, right? If you're anything like me, you can be a little like, this is overwhelming my senses. I'm a highly sensitive person. I know many of you are too. And so when something is new, there's this kind of immediate balking at it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something different, something where you realize, actually, this is taking me down the wrong road. And so I just want to share this with you because it really is never too late to say no. When I said yes, that yes was full of belief that this was good. And the more I got closer, the more I realized that we weren't going to meet where we wanted to meet. And so better to say no now than to keep going and to under deliver, right? It's hard. And it also, in my heart, just feels right to me. So I'm sharing this to say it's never too late to say a no that shows up, right? And that we don't have to judge ourselves if we came in with an honest yes and with more information. Our view changed. With more information, we realize, oh, this person isn't who I want to date. Or with more information, we go, oh, actually, this project isn't one that I want to create. You have an internal compass. Pay attention to it, listen to it, and trust yourself on the road. When you're starting the adventure, you have the map and you're making judgments based on the information you have in the moment. But this is an adventure. And as you get on the road, all sorts of unexpected things will happen. And you'll make some detours towards some even more magical places. And you'll make some other changes to move around obstacles. And there'll also be things where you realize, actually, I thought this way was like this, but it's not for me. You're allowed to change your mind. And that's what I did. One thing I did not change my mind about was the magic of dream boarding. This is something I've been doing for decades, and about the possibility that is available to you when you learn to reflect on and gather wisdom from your dream board. And so that's what I'm here to share with you today. I have promised something a little while ago, and it's taken me a while to get to it because I've had technical difficulties. And hopefully, fingers crossed, all will go well today. And I'm trying to trust that there's something in the energy of today that is ready to come through that maybe wasn't before. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So what I'm doing today is I opened up the opportunity to people who participate in the studio yearbook to submit their full moon dream boards. It's something we do in our yearbook every full moon for a bit of a reading. And the reason I did that is in the studio, we have a 3-point process for creating dream boards. The first is to do some reflection. And we do that with the inspiration of the energy of a particular full moon. So many of these are from the full worm moon. So it was about what's emerging, what dreams are trying to break through and be seen. And so it seemed a really good one to work on. So we do a bit of reflecting. And then with that in our minds, all the thoughts that have been stirred, the question that's been asked, we gather images that call to our heart. We glue them in our studio yearbook. And then when we are done, we go back and look and say, what do I see here? And the reason being is a dream board is really a two-way conversation. You know, out there in the world, when people talk about vision boards, they're really often talking about one-way communication. Here's what I want, universe. Let me show you what I want. And that works. But here's something that is so rich and deep. And that's why I'm doing this, is so that you can really explore this aspect of what's available. The richness that's available in a vision board or a dream board is to go back and see, what is it telling you? What is it telling you? When we pick images, there's something that is happening energetically. There's something that's calling to us. And it's in part rooted in what we know we desire, but it's also rooted in the unknown. And that's why I think this is such a crucial step. And I wanted to share it with you today. Now, before we start, I want to do something that I do in all my classes, which is light a candle. And this is a way of us bringing our intention and our energy present. It's a way of calling back in all the parts of us that are somewhere else, that are listening to me, but also scrolling on Instagram, that are listening to me, but also worrying about what's for dinner. And instead to say, okay, hold on. I want to invite some magic in here. So let me signal that invitation to my heart, my spirit, my body, the powers that be, by lighting this candle and inviting this moment to be full of magic. So I'm lighting this on all of our behalf. An invitation to intuition, an invitation to inspiration, an invitation to just one penny dropping, where you realize something maybe you never knew before. I'll leave that there. Even though it's such a bright day, you can barely see, but it's there to guide the way. Okay, let us start. I am going to look at 4 dream boards, 2 in more depth and 2 with a light touch. They just had a couple of themes I wanted to pull out for the people that submitted them. Let's start. Okay, so I'm going to start with this exquisite dream board by Helen. Hi, Helen. Thanks so much for submitting this. I asked everyone if they had a question. One of the things Helen asked was, when I did my reflection and then I made this dream board, there wasn't much of a correlation between the two. And I think one of the key reasons that might be the case is because when you started, you were able to discover things you already knew. You were writing about the things you already knew you wanted. And then this took you somewhere deeper or different or adjacent. And so I have a feeling that there are things in here that are important for you to unravel, sort of like going and harvesting, right? Taking some new wisdom out of this board. And I think that one of the reasons it's actually still important to do that process is we want to identify the things we consciously want, and we want to be able to articulate them. We want to be able to say them out loud. And also, once we've said them, it's like we've cleared the way to make room for the things that are just beyond that. And I have a feel. In fact, when I look at your dream board, I see a bunch of just beyond, right? Because first of all, we have this archway, and right beside it, we have this pathway. And so there is a sense of what is on the horizon. Where are you headed next? And I can't help but notice that these two are side by side as if invoking different choices. And one choice maybe being a more structured way, a more ordered way, practical, earthly. And the other maybe being, even though it's got a pathway, but maybe being a bit meandering, a little bit more organic, a little bit more relaxed. And I wonder if that has resonance for you, or if that energy, one or the other energy, appeals to you more. One of the things about the archway is it has an incredible sense of transition, of threshold, of initiation. Like once you walk through that door, it's almost as if the next path begins. And so I'm also sensing those two different energies. Like, do you want to take your time to evolve? Or is there something that if you would just step into this, it would change everything? So it's a question to maybe take to your journal. I really do see a sense of rising here, a sense of emergence. And I mean, we see it here in these wonderful seeds that are sprouting. And it's interesting too, because here we have a garden. So that also makes me almost think of the balance between those things, right? The freedom of growth, the unpredictable nature of what it will be, the delight in discovering what you might harvest, but also some structure to hold it. This isn't a free-flowing garden. This is a garden that is in boxes, that is created with intention. It might even be a garden where it's like, okay, this is where I have my vegetables, and this is where I have my herbs. And so there may be a desire to find that balance of, I know, Helen, we talk about this all the time in the studio, so you're well aware of that balance between sort of freedom and structure, and a search for that. I also see like the abundance up here at the top, left to center, abundance of flowers, abundance of droplets, abundance of butterflies. And the butterflies for sure make me think of inspiration. And I can't help but notice this, the trajectory, the looking at something from bottom to top. And this is something I want to offer to all of you who make dream boards, is when we gather the images, we're really looking at them singularly. We're looking at them one by one. But once we get them on our dream board, it's interesting to look at the interrelationships between the two. So do you see that? The way this is moving from seedling to growing in the garden to butterflies of inspiration, or maybe of a body of work, of things you've created, of things that were once these tiny little tender seedlings that with care and some structure and support have been able to grow into this amazing, dynamic, alive inspiration and body of work. And speaking of aliveness, this is something I notice in here too. I really notice the elements, but I'm going to start with water. There's something here that feels nourishing, like a desire to be able to tap into nourishment on a regular basis in small doses. So not needing to necessarily take a big break or a big vacation or a big time away, but how do you have little soupçons of rest and refreshment throughout your day, throughout your process. And I can't help but think of this as the inspiration that comes to you from the external world, like being able to take in the beauty and abundance of what's around you. So this being your own creations, this being your nourishment, and this being like the kinds of things that spark some attention. One of the things I love in this is I see not only nourishment, but delight and pleasure. And so I think maybe that's a piece too, is a part of what's going to fill you up. Instead of it being like, these are the things I have to do, how can it be pleasurable? How can it be joyful? How can it maybe even be something you share? Speaking of, I'm just going to go back to this idea of the elements because I see fire and I see electricity here. I'm just being called to this one drop here. So I must admit that I do know Helen. So when I see this drop, I think about a creative project that is about to drop. I think about it being held tenderly and well, and then it being ready to be released. So that's what I see here. Right beside the sound mixer. So I think that's a relationship there about music and what you're creating and what's just getting ready to be released. Let's go back to fire. There's a sense here too of nourishment. When I look at these two things together, so fire, and I'm going to refer to these branches as root, like they look like both roots and branches. So this sort of holistic, like growing from the bottom and then reaching up into the sky. And I see that fire and it being at the bottom of your dream board as a kind of fire in your sacral energy, right? Like warmth, home, nourishment, but that gives you that energy that allows the things that need to be created. I also, one of the things I want to point out is, do you see how I'm paying attention to the placement of the images on the board? So I'm taking the bottom to mean something significant versus the top. I look at those butterflies and they're at the top in the air, ready to fly. And I look at the fire and the earth beside it. I look at it as grounding and deepening and like root chakra kind of conversations, sacral chakra kind of conversation. So I think there's real power in that too. I think when I see this, because it's electricity, I'm being drawn to the idea of the mind, right? Thoughts, ideas, fueling them, giving them energy, but also here choosing this sense of focus, very different from all the butterflies or all the sproutlings. This is like one clear, strong idea with electricity burning bright, one strong idea that's guiding you. And even now, I can't help but see it beside the archway. And maybe that's it, Helen, that idea, pursuing it, maybe even it's dropped because I'm noticing the shapes, the circle and the circle. So I'm seeing a relationship there. Maybe just the thing that takes you through that initiation, that archway into a new and wide open world. So that's what I see here. But I want to draw attention to two other things and then give you a way of working with them that I hope will be useful to everyone. So look at this wonderful fox and look at this wonderful lizard. And whenever a presence like that shows up on my dream board, I think it has a message for me. And I think the best way to access that is by dialoguing with it. So I encourage you to take it to your journal and ask, hey, fox, what are you here to show me? I'll just tell you one of the first things that comes to my mind when I think about this fox and I think about this pathway. And I even look at this relationship between fox, idea, and threshold and they're also all dark, right? This dark background, but this orangey, beautiful ambient color, and then this color. So I just see this relationship, and I think fox might be helping to guide you through here. So spend some time with fox and see what you discover. I hope that's helpful, Helen, and I hope that's helpful everyone to really show you what's possible when you start interpreting your dream boards. You can treat them like a tarot card, a complex tarot card, or a series of tarot cards, each with its own message, but also being looked at in conjunction with one another, each with meanings that are specific to you, as well as archetypal meanings that exist out in the world. And that just makes me want to say one thing too, before we go on to the next one. One of the philosophies I have in the studio and that I encourage you to do all the time is look inside first. So when you see something like a fox on your dream board, you might immediately go searching online, or you might have a book you refer to and go, what does fox mean? But before you address that kind of societal or archetypal view of fox, I really encourage you to explore the question, what does fox mean to me? Why is fox here for me? Because you may have entirely different associations with fox than what the average generic way of interpreting it is that might be out there. You might have had foxes in your garden when you were a child and found them fascinating. And so that's bringing you back to a time of your life for a reason, or any number of things, stories that you might have, experiences you might have, references that you might have, songs that you might love. And the key is to give yourself this sacred space, this magical space, this moment of focus and time to think, what's my relationship to fox or fire or thresholds or butterflies? And that's where I encourage you to start. And that's what I encourage in the Studio Yearbook when I say reflect, create, gather insight. That gathering insight starts in here, or in your belly, or in your subconscious, or in your life experience. Trust yourself. Look inside first. Okay, let's look at another dream board. Here is Karen's dream board, and I'm so excited to have a look at it. Karen also had a question. This is my first full moon dream board. Yay, Karen! So I know Karen said she's been doing, this is her 4th year of yearbooks. So congratulations, Karen, on your practice. I am celebrating you. Yay! And I love that now you are expanding into embracing the full moon dream board. So let's take a look at what you have here. So you have a question, and then you also let me know that one of the things that you're dealing with is some health concerns. And so these dreams that you have are impacted by that and are really related to helping you seize the day. And your question is, does using so many words keep you from reaching a more intuitive place? And let me just back out of here for 1 second, because I think many people may have this question and I want to address it. I think each of us speaks multiple languages, right? We speak the language of image, we speak the language of words, we speak the language of movement, we speak the language of emotions. And each one gives us different access, right? Each one gives us different perspectives. And so if you have a natural calling to words, then I say go with it. It may say that you are a writer, that you are a poet, that you have things you want to say, and the things you want to say want to be expressed through words. Or maybe your love language is words of affirmation, and there's some way you're able to receive messages so profoundly through the channel of words. So there's no need to change anything that you're doing. Trust your instincts, your intuition. And if words call you, use words. Okay, let's take a look and we'll see what words you have been choosing. I know that this is Karen's full worm moon dream board, and we were asking that question about what dreams are emerging. And so my eyes just immediately caught by this emergence of the butterfly, and knowing that you are, working through some healing right now. I see that this is a positive, encouraging image too, right? A reminder that yes, it's maybe time to be cocooned. It may be time to curled up and rest. And that all of the beauty of the butterfly is within you. That's one of the things I see in this picture too, right? In this picture, she is already a butterfly. She is already a butterfly. She just is a butterfly that is cocooned. And so I hope you are able to create some sense of that cocooning and to remember that you are a butterfly right now. Speaking of right now, okay, I see this now, and a clock. And I wonder, Karen, do you experience that as a reminder, or like, is there some pressure in there too? This sense of containment and I'm just curious about that, because it's a bit, I look at this, the now clock, and I look at this woman down here floating in the water. And it's almost like she doesn't need to be told now. She just needs to relax and release and allow it. She is in the now. Does that make sense, Karen? Oh, look at this crow. I find myself once again in the healing process. And so I'm going to tie that to see this. I find myself once again in the healing process to this. Keep being the one with the story. So, and even this is a story, isn't it? It's a before and after. And so this theme of story and also a claiming of your story. Keep being the one with the story. I feel like this is representing your desire and your dream to not only center yourself in your own experience, but for that to be allowed, right? To be released from all the pressures, or even this cat going, what? Right? Like this cat, like just dragging down, instead to be like, hey, this is my story. This is my time. When I need to rest, I will rest. When I need to fly, I will fly. When I need to float, I will float. This is my story. And that even makes me think of this and this yes and no, that your road is not what you expected it to be, But no matter what the road is, no matter what the choice is, this is your story. That's the overwhelming feeling for me about this. This is your story. Also, oh, look at this picture. So this picture of a woman, I think that's a woman, wide-armed, head up, open heart, this sort of receiving. And this is something I would encourage people to do too, is when you have something that you've picked, an image that you've picked, and it has a physical posture, get into that posture. Like literally feel what this feels like. Start each day like this. Welcome in that glowing light that we have here. Welcome in this glowing light that we have here, the healing hands. This is so gorgeous. Not all storms come to disrupt your life. Some come to clear your path. And then I see this, it's never too late for a new beginning in your life. I see this blank page. Oh, I see this blank page and these pens. So are you a writer? Is that true? This is your time. This is your time to tell your story, to live your story, to write your story, to create your story. And this sense you have that something is changing, that something is different than it was before. And this feeling of, okay, I am open. I am open to it. I'm open to healing. I'm open to my journey. I'm open to my story. And oh, this, right? The best way out is always through. This is powerful willingness. Again, in contrast to our sweet cat here who's going, no. This letting go, the best way out is always through. This willingness to say, I am here, I am present, I am now, I am moving through this into something different, something that is new. And I see this golden 4-leaf clover here at the right as a request to the universe. Like, I am willing, I am here, I am moving forward. I am going through, I am being present. I am open to receiving healing and inspiration. I'm open to this new path. And could you bring me just a touch of luck here too? Could you just, in the midst of all of this, reach down and say, here's a blessing. Here's a blessing for you, Karen, in the midst of it all. There is so much beauty, strength, and fluidity in this dream board. Even I notice it's interesting in the way you've placed things, that there are some things that are like lines, but then there's things that are round, and there's open spaces, and there's this letting go on an angle. And that makes me think of this too. There's a way of just being with what is and letting it be a little more organic, letting it be a little flowy, not needing to control it all, and leaving spaces for the unknown, for magic, for luck, and for love. I'm sending you so much healing energy and lots of love, Karen. Thank you so much for making a dream board, for creating it, and for sharing it. Okay, I'm going to do a little quick look at 2 more dream boards that just called out to have something said about them. So this is from Kristen. Hi, Kristen. I'm so glad to see your dreams here and to spend some time with you and them. And there was just something when I looked at this that stood out so much. It's like so much that I needed to talk to you about it immediately. So it's so clear that this is a dream board that is about your music, about your performance, about you embracing fully your creative life, about your voice being heard, about even here, now that I'm looking at it, even moving from here to here, it's a little like stepping out of the chorus and into center stage and breaking into song, having your voice heard. I think the majority of this is very familiar to you. I see in this woman a willingness to do the work, right? A willingness to show up, a willingness to get messy, a willingness to be present, a willingness to do whatever it takes. And then I see two different things I just want to point out to you. One was when I looked at this dream board, I could not see this. Okay. Do you see the relationship of these three things together? Creativity, energy, like so much energy and all these colors and dynamics. And then above it, this bird, like ready to go, almost like ready to join the action on stage. But what's in between? This rock. This rock is what stood out to me, Kristen. Like I looked at this and I thought, oh, all you need to do is figure out, how do I dissolve this rock? How do I, you might want to break it up, but for some reason I felt like dissolve. I almost feel like dissolve it into little pieces that are just going to flow down and maybe even become a part of this creative flow. Like, what is it that is not being said? What is it that you are holding back? What do you think it is that is not allowed on the stage? Or are you waiting for somebody else to lift the rock? Or who placed it there? Is it serving you? Is it protecting you? But you can see, like, even by this line, it's keeping you separate. It's keeping you apart. It's keeping you in your own space, in your own creativity, but not allowing you to bust out into the world. Do you know what I'm saying? So I would do some journaling about this. You can even ask this great bird, this great creature, what do you know about this? Are they holding you down? Are they keeping the stone in place? I would start maybe with the question of what needs to happen for this stone to be removed? And then secondly, what happens if it is removed? What would be great? What would be hard? I imagine this is some resistance and it's there for a reason. So that's where I want to point you, is here to this energy. I feel like you're literally one step away, one cracking wide open, one move to move into this new, fully embraced, powerful world. And I'll just say, I think there's a clue here, maybe. More of this, more basking, more beauty, more strength that doesn't need to push, more belief in your own power, more simple acceptance of this being who you are. No more proving, no more driving, just knowing the extent of your depth, your power, and what you have to offer. I think there's a clue. You can also, of course, ask this wonderful wildcat what they have to say. Isn't it interesting? I'm just noticing too, as I look at this, look at where the eye of this cat is. So there is a relationship here. I invite you to continue to explore this. There's magic here, and this showed up for a reason, and it means it's ready to be cleared. Okay, last one. This is Sandeep's, and I just got to share. This is what she wrote about her studio yearbook when she submitted this dream board. Oh, my studio yearbook. Within it, you see me. It has been my #1 creative outlet and companion since it started. It holds my desires and wishes, my ups and downs. I missed my very first one last fall, and honestly, I lost my footing. I'm so grateful to have it back again. It's an important part of my life that keeps me connected to my creative self through all the seasons. I love it. Thank you, Sandeep. It's such a joy to share this journey with you. And I know you also mentioned your primary desire this season is growth. And wow, have you expressed this on the board? It is full of growth and possibility. But also, the reason I wanted to share my reflections with you is it's very interesting because it has this very beautiful, centered, radiating, glowing, relaxed energy. And so I'm here just to point you to the and. I see the motherhood joy and love. I see the love of beauty and flowers. And I see the growing of your energy. It's almost like when I see this, that I'm just being called to this primarily for this moment, that you appreciate and love everything you have in a deep, sensitive, and profound way. And it's like all that joy is filling you up and wants to expand past your perimeter, right? Wants to go out in the world. And then even more, there's something here. So it's not just like you want to radiate your love and joy and goodness in the world. It's not just that. There's something directional happening here. The taking the leap into the pool, the running forward, the car moving down a dirt road, even the beak of the hummingbird. Like there's this directionality, there's this desire to sort of scoop up all this love and joy and possibility and beauty and do something with it. So I think that's the part that's emerging for you. It's around doing, it's around taking action, it's around taking the plunge, it's around expressing bravery. And that bravery will come from that deep, deep belief you have in the beauty and possibility in the world and wanting to awaken that everywhere you go. This dream board is saying it is time to take all of this and turn it into something that wants to emerge. So keep listening for what that is. Keep moving forward, keep taking action, and something amazing will come of it. I promise you that. I hope that looking at all these dream boards has awakened a desire in you to explore your dreams on a deeper level, to engage in this process of dream boarding, but also in this process of letting it speak to you, of having a two-way conversation. And I really hope it has encouraged you to consider joining us for the Studio Yearbook. The Studio Yearbook is a fill-in-the-blank seasonal journal. This is mine from last season. And we all get the same empty journal, and they end up getting all filled up like this, full of thoughts and images and dream boards. And every step opens up a little bit more of your creative heart. Every step opens up a little bit more of your self-awareness. More and more, it reflects back to you who you are, what you love, what is emerging, what dreams are being awakened, and how you can start more and more bringing them to life. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. I hope this gave you a lot of fuel for thought about your dreams, about looking inside first, about having a dialogue with the things that inspire you, and about the possibilities that become available when you express your desires. Thanks so much for being here with me today. And I look forward to hanging out with you again soon. Before we go, I just really want to say a sincere thank you for being here, especially to those of you who are here right to the end. I was watching a video this morning by Mark Silver, a business teacher who I respect very deeply, and you can see he's in my heart. And one of the things he was talking about was how in sharing your work, you are offering to help. And I just wanted to let you know that one of the reasons that you are helping me lift out of that shell, unfurl out of that nest, is my deep desire to bring the work that I've been doing for 20 years now, helping aspiring, emerging, established creatives really embrace themselves as artists fully, deeply, authentically, and to create the work that they are meant to be making in this world, to discover the power of their own creative magic. I want to bring that to the world. I want to bring that to you. And that is motivation for me to poke my head out of my shell. I'm using all sorts of different metaphors here, right? Birds, turtles, plants. It all inspires me to show up and be here for you, for us, for this work. And I hope in doing so, it inspires you to do the same. Even on the days when it feels a bit hard, tender, where you're taking a risk, where you're unsure what to do, where you suddenly see that a yes has turned into a no, stay on the creative path. Embrace your artistic adventure. You were made for this, and you will grow and get stronger throughout the journey. Take excellent care of yourself to ensure that that's true. Resource yourself, fill yourself up, and keep on creating. I'll see you soon.